You are listening to Overwatch League Network, the podcast with Deadeye on all the latest Overwatch League news and information. The show with Tactical Visor on all of the statistics and analysis. Here are your hosts, Booger and Nura.
Welcome to episode 134 of Overwatch League Network, coming to you tonight on July 13th, live on Twitch. We're going to kick the show off. I'm going to introduce everybody to me, Booger, and our co-host, Nura, and just see how's your week been going, dude? What's been up? Yeah, we didn't have any Overwatch League this weekend, but on Saturday I got together on Discord because I'm still not really doing cookouts yet, and we just did a UFC watch party on Saturday night with some of my buddies, and that was a good time. You know, something to replace the fact that we didn't have Overwatch League all weekend, which is I watch a lot of Overwatch League, so it was kind of felt a little weird. So, you know, it's I've had a lot going on, so it was kind of good. I don't know if I would have been able to watch as many games as I have been this weekend otherwise, but this weekend we did have just like a little bit of news surrounding the Overwatch League, and some of it is come out to be, I mean, I think it's a little bit controversial. We had the Guangzhou Charge enter a 3-year sponsorship deal with Herbalife, which everybody knows is a pyramid scheme, and it doesn't work. Has fake claims, and it's like banned in multiple countries. And the Charge signed a deal with them for multiple years, and it's like, how the heck did the Overwatch League approve this kind of deal? Like, there's even like a John Oliver episode where they talk about multi-level marketing and how it's dangerous and it preys on vulnerable people. And like Herbalife was one of their examples of the companies doing it. So I'm just like really kind of stunned this got approved by the league. Anura, have you been reading some of the buzz online? Like I seen that and was just like, what the heck? And then I wasn't the only one that thought that. So it's been quite a bit of buzz around it on the internet. Yeah, like you can't really go too far reading, googling about Herbalife without just coming up to pyramid scheme, scam, stay away. And I'm just like, they had to have done like either no research or they just don't give a crap. Which you know, uh, I think it was a wise man once said that if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But sometimes when it does make dollars, it still don't really make sense because it's just just not a good look. That's like, I don't know. I can't even think of a comparison. Like I don't know of. I can't even really think of a comparison to make between like other sports that have had like that questionable of sponsors. Like I think this is kind of the weirdest one, in my opinion. But while we're talking about the charge, they did make an announcement that WYA is going to be a two-way player moving forward with their um, contenders team, which we really haven't seen him play this year very much, or even at all. I don't know. I don't recall seeing him, but he could have had a map or two while I was sleeping. Um, does this surprise you, Anura? You think that they think that he's going to bring a lot to their contenders team, or is it kind of a money saving scheme? Yeah, that's what I think. What I think too. Yeah, and it's a way to like keep him fresh and still playing, even though he might not really have a spot on the main roster right now. So he can still be kind of fresh and maybe can be like in tryout condition if he wants to be traded to another team or something like that. Like if somebody another team's looking for a player and he won't be all rusty when it comes to tryouts. So it's definitely just a like you were saying, it's a good idea just to keep people playing. And yeah, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to a new thing. Where we didn't have any games this past weekend, we got a little bit of stuff to reflect on, like just a little bit of interesting stats from the summer showdown. Normally, from the games that happen right before we record, the stats lab isn't out till the next day. So a lot of times we don't get like real deep into the specific stats, but I seen some stuff on the stats lab earlier today that I thought was just a little bit interesting in regards to teams and their team fight win rates. One thing is, we saw Paris win the summer showdown, and it was honestly kind of weird to see even though they won the tournament, they were fifth when it came to team fight win rate. I would think you would see like a little bit stronger correlation. And when we get into this, I'm going to go ahead. I'll just read off to you the top five team fight win rates by team over the Summer Showdown weekend. First place was Philly Fusion with a 55% team fight win rate, followed by the Charge with 54.7% win rate. Then we had the Atlanta Rain as the third with a 53% team fight win rate. And then this was an oddity, and that was the Boston Uprising with 50.9% team fight win rate. And then fifth, Paris with a solid 50% team fight win rate. So now we can talk about this a little bit. And the first thing that jumps out to me is how the heck did Boston make it into the top five for team fight win rate percentages? And I think it's definitely a sample size thing because they didn't play a lot of games, so that it's not as big. But still, it shows that they were winning team fights and just not winning them at the right time. Anura, you see this list. What kind of insights do you think we can draw from these team fight win rates per team? Yeah, because they only have, yeah. It seems like with Paris, I think that one of the things we can kind of draw from that is that in some of the fights that they lost, it was worth it to lose because of the ult charge they were getting. And I don't know, maybe to me, it kind of points the fact that they were able to win the whole tournament with a lower team fight win rate. That just kind of shows to me that they were being very intelligent with how they stacked their ults together and the way they held them together. So, yeah, this was to me just came off as a little bit interesting stat. And since I got some stats with the team fight win rates by team, I decided to go ahead and pull out just the top three team fight win rates by player. And it's no surprise that the majority of this list comes from the Philly Fusion. And the number player with number one team fight win rate was Hisu with 61.5%. That's so high because of a sample size thing. He wasn't in for very many maps throughout the whole summer showdown. But then in second, we seen Soon with 55.6% team fight win rates. And we seen him rotate in for when Sparkle, when the Genji wasn't going to be just as potent. But then when we got to the third place for team fight win rates, it was a large multi-way tie between Boombox, Alarm, Fury, Sato, Carpe. So basically just the majority of Philly Fusion, and they rang in at 55%, which is pretty much the same as what the team fight win rate is. So seeing Soon up here is actually really interesting and shows that when we were watching some of those games and seeing Paris opting to bench Sparkle in a couple maps a series for Soon, a lot of people were like, wait a second, Sparkle seems to be like their star player, but it shows that this Soon swap was actually like very potent and that he was able to help them win those fights that he was in for. And there is the little bit of sample size skew, so he wasn't playing quite as much. But I definitely think we've seen Soon like significantly more than Hisu and some of the other players rotated in. He played 1 to 2 maps most of the games in the summer showdown, so that really does speak to how potent it was for them to be able to switch him in, and how they must have had pretty prepared set strategies based on map for him to come in. Um, did you expect to see a swap in player kind of like that, Anura, in these kind of stats? Or did you pick up on that Soon was playing like that well when he was coming in? Big difference. Yeah, it might also speak to the difference in the Genji playstyle to the Tracer, because with Tracer you can get a lot of solo picks, and it's not just like trying to charge your ult and make a huge play. Like with Tracer, you're wanting to be constantly disruptive. And yeah, the pulse bomb, especially now, we see pulse bomb comboed with Orisa Holt, and it's pretty badass. And that's like a good fight, like winner, but it's not quite the same kind of thing as the Genji Blade, where he's just trying to spam in, get as much charge as he can every fight. A Tracer can one clip somebody in the back, and yeah, I guess a Genji can too. But you see more Tracers just popping up into the back lines and hitting one clips and getting nasty. So I think maybe we'll do a team fight win rate by character. I wonder if the stats lab has that. There's so much you can go into in the stats lab. You can really go deep. Um, but with that being said, we do have some more games that will be coming up this weekend. And this weekend is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. We got games coming in on Fridays. So no tournament, nothing like that going on, but we do get the Friday games. So Friday we're gonna have two games, and the first one kicks off at 3 p.m. Eastern time with the Vancouver Titans taking on the Paris Eternal. And then the second game on Friday will be Houston Outlaws versus the Dallas Fuel in a Texas showdown. Um, pretty hype games. I mean, for me, any Houston game is going to be hype. But these Friday games starting out like is I don't know if Vancouver really has that much of a chance against Paris with how strong they've been. Oh, heck, you know what? Before we talk about the games, we might want to go ahead the hero pool for this week. Since hero pools is back, it's not all the way open. Um, let me pull it up. I know they banned. We have Orisa out of the meta, as well as. Do you remember who is not playable this week? Yep, there it is. Arissa May Widow Anna, which is actually I don't know. We can go ahead and talk about hero pools with as we go into the schedule, but I was kind of surprised to see Genji still in play after the high pick rate he had. But these Friday games, you think these hero pools are really going to affect it? I don't think that. I mean, the Orisa Outlaws like to play quite a few Orisa comps, but we haven't been really seeing them with a lot of Anna or May. We've seen links around the Widow here and there, but a lot of times Widow Ash are kind of interchangeable in these modern compositions. Um, so yeah, Nero, what you think about going on this weekend about the beginning games? How about now? Yeah, we good. Okay. Um, yeah, I think it's definitely kind of interesting to see if Dive is going to come back with no Brig. So there's going to be and no since there's no Brig and no May, there's significantly less stuns and slows that will be available. So I definitely think it's a strong possibility to have the dive come back. And I'm really curious with the Outlaws. One of the things we've seen them running previously was going to be a Sombra Doomfist dive, and I'm very curious if that's going to hold up and can be something that we've got that will be possible this weekend. I'm getting my words all twisted. Anura, you got the schedule up? You want to read the Saturday morning games while I see if I can fiddle with this audio real quick?
Versus Seoul Dynasty. Pretty good game. Grangeo Charge versus London Spitfire. Chengdu Hunters versus New York Excelsior. All of these, I mean, they're all right. Move on the Saturday afternoon. We have Vancouver Titans versus Los Angeles Gladiators. I think could be a good game depending on how well Titans play and how poorly Gladiators play. It could be a close one. Washington Justice versus Toronto Defiant. And then San Francisco Shock versus Boston Rising. And then to end the Saturday, we have Los Angeles Valiant versus Atlanta Reign, which is a really good way to end Saturday.
For sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
if you want to talk about, go ahead.
That's a lot of games to get into. You want to go ahead and let's dive into this Texas showdown that's coming up on Friday?
Sure.
Let's see. I think Houston, they definitely have got a pretty strong chance. Dallas has been in a slump, and Houston's kind of been on the up and up. But one of the things about Houston is that hydration's been pretty significant, like pretty sufficient when it comes to Orisa and Ball, and his Sigma's good. But one of the things he's been a little bit, I mean, I don't think he's bad, but I definitely think that hydration's weakest tank so far is the Reinhardt. So if we land in a Reinhardt meta, but then I look at Dallas's tank line, and I don't think Dallas has a superstar Reinhardt player either. So I'm very interested to see what kind of compositions they're going to be running into. I really hope that we're going to see Dive, either Monkey Ball, Monkey Diva, depending on maps. I would think that would be a pretty good look. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to see that of the Ryan Zarya might be pretty prevalent throughout other games, but I don't know about this game specifically. Anura, what kind of comps you think we're going to see with this Texas showdown?
I mean, we talked about the comps. I don't think it's going to change that much differently. It's probably going to be Brawl. I think it's going to be Ryan Genji Brawl. I don't know what the second DPS could be. It could be Tracer. It could be. I'm guessing it's going to be Ashe because she's still super powerful. But who knows? I mean, Torp can come back. It all depends on what they need to play. Let's see. I mean, for this match though, I'm gonna say I think Fuel's gonna win it. I think
no
Fuel.
Way.
Yeah, I do. I think they actually have a really strong DPS in Decay, and I'm trying to think of his name right now. I'm totally blanking.
Or Doha.
No, not Doha. And if it's a Genji Widow, Genji Ashe, I think they can come on par with Houston Outlaws, which Houston Outlaws' best part is their DPS, I think by far. And right now, people really thought Dallas Fuel were going to be really strong in this meta, and they had a really close game against Paris Eternal in the last in the Summer Showdown. It didn't work out in Dallas Fuel's way, but it really showed how strong they are in this meta and how strong they could be to be even close to Paris versus Houston Outlaws had a good game with Mayhem, but Mayhem's been looking weaker. This is just like a hunch I have where I think Dallas is actually be coming out on all cylinders. It's a big game for both teams. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I do have Dallas winning this one.
Yeah, I don't know about that because I definitely think Houston's got a good chance, but I never count them out. And I would argue that Houston's going to win for the whole show. So I don't want to hold us all the way up. We can go ahead and go into some of our other games we got uh, coming up, and we get to see the Seoul Dynasty and the Hangzhou Spark, and that should be a pretty legit game. The Spark, they uh,
Mm,
yeah, they had that first opening weekend when they signed Architect and looked hot, and then ever since then they've been, you kind of hit it on the head like, but Soul depends on what Soul shows up. So who really knows what's going to go on with that? And then after that, you get the two light blue teams, the Charge and the Spitfire. And Charge seem pretty unstoppable. They are coming off that win over the Shanghai Dragons. You think there's any chance London show up big here?
London's a wacky team, and they can come out with some wacky stuff. But I think Charge is going to be riding the high after their win. And I'm hoping for a dominant showing from Guangzhou Charge. I don't want them to go back to being this 50-50 team we saw in the beginning of the season or the beginning of the Asian region since COVID. So I want to see some strong showings from Charge. I'm hoping for a 3-0 because I don't. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've never really liked London, so I'd be excited to see some of the players go other ways because that's what London's trying to do. But I don't think I think this should be easy one for Charge, honestly.
Yeah,
So we'll see though.
I agree with you that I think it's an easy win for the Charge, but things happen. Then coming up after that, you got New York versus Shanghai, and you know, and I said Shanghai, I meant Chengdu, and we have not seen a very strong showing from the Hunters this year yet. They've been sitting bottom of the barrel of the Asian division, so is this game
Right.
really worth talking about, or you think it's a GG go next for New York?
Um. No, I think New York has this in the bag. I do want to talk about a few things. Chengdu is looking for a new coach. I think we talked about last time. I just got the information that actually it was the Asian fans who were begging for them to look for a new coach.
Oh,
I think it was their previous coach. I talked about it when we were doing rankings and why I thought Chengdu was to be so bad was that their other like their previous coach came out with these wacky comps that no one's seen before. I mean, you saw them doing triple DPS when it was a goats meta, all this stuff. It really hasn't been there this year. Like they've done some weird stuff, but it's not nearly to the level they were last year. So looking for a new coach. They haven't yet. But also, New York has three of the best Genji players, and they did not do good in a Genji meta. That's insane. That shouldn't be happening. Honestly, they did not look clean at all during the. I don't think they looked that clean. I know they played Charge, but they did not
okay.
look good. They should at least took a few maps.
Here's the thing, though. That was
I just didn't think they're that
playoffs.
strong.
New York
It
has the
was,
choking in
yeah.
playoffs reputation, so you don't really know if it's like, the meta wasn't right for them, but it's like New York chokes in playoffs. That's just literally what New
Oh
York
yeah,
does. So
yeah, 100%. I have New York winning this game. Up. I don't think I think New York and Chengdu has been slipping this year. And I don't know why exactly. New York has all the talent. Chengdu has always had wacky things, and maybe it's just because these teams have played Chengdu so many times, or they're just used to what they're trying to do. And it's like, who else is Chengdu supposed to scrim when there's only a certain amount of teams you can scrim with? But it's just really not looking good for them. I'm not impressed by either of these teams right now. I do have New York winning this though. I just want to say like it's kind of like for me this is like the same as looking at a Hangzhou Spark versus Seoul Dynasty game for me right now. It's just not that interesting. It could go either way, and I wouldn't care. I know. I'm pretty sure New York's gonna win this one, but for the Spark Seoul Dynasty game, I don't care. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
well, let's talk about a game you're gonna care about, and that's the Vancouver Titans taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators to kick off our games on Saturday. Um, this looks like a good chance for the Gladiators to get their feet back under them after a couple losses in a row. So, the Vancouver Titans are definitely looking better than when they first signed their new team, but they're still beatable, especially for the Gladiators. I'm looking at this as a game to get their confidence back. Is that kind of what the Gladiators fan base is feeling over there?
I mean, yeah, this has to be it. This has to be the time they come back. There's no other time. This is also one of the most winnable games we have for this countdown cup that's coming up. Overall, I think I mean Vancouver's looked impressive as of late compared to where they were at with two convincing wins over two lower tier teams, but also they got 3-0'd by Atlanta, but then they came back against Paris Eternal and got a map off of them when Paris Eternal is looking really, really clean. So I'm excited to see what Vancouver will do and how Gladiators will respond. They have not responded well, but also they have not looked good in the previous meta where it was more of Orisa and it was like a diving DPS. Or this could be a lot more Los Angeles Gladiator style where they're rushing these comps. They're rushing with Reinhardt and probably Lucio if Briggs banned. I mean, Briggs not banned, but she got heavily nerfed. We didn't really talk about it, but she got heavily nerfed. And so hopefully this could actually end up being a pretty good meta for the Gladiators and their playstyle. They might be a one-trick pony right now, the Gladiators, but this could be the trick. This could be the pony for them. Like honestly, this is strong. I have Gladiators winning, obviously, but I would not be surprised to see Vancouver making it close, if not, it's not winning out because they've actually had some strong performances. So yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch out for Shockwave. He is insane, but this definitely does seem to me like a very, very winnable game for the Gladiators, and just um, it just seems like a good time for them to get their feet back under them because the past month or two the Gladiators really ain't been living up to where they should be power wise, and this might be a return to form. But directly following that game, we're going to get the Washington Justice versus the Toronto Defiant, coming off of Toronto's just upset streak. They were not expected to go literally anywhere in the Summer Showdown. I don't think anybody picked them to win more than a game, and they ended up winning multiple games. So was that Summer Showdown just like the sweet spot where the Toronto Defiant started hitting good on all cylinders, or you think that the Toronto Defiant are a much improved team and that new power level we saw over the Summer Showdown where they were able to beat out teams like the LA Valiant and the Atlanta Reign? Do you think that power level is here to stay, or we're going to see a return to the Toronto Defiant win a game here or there kind of thing? It's hard to say.
Yeah, they had a really good schedule for that Summer Showdown. Honestly, like they played a Valiant where they had 2 days of practice and they had to bring in Apply over Lastro and Cake over Dreamer, and then Atlanta just ended up botching their match and just losing it. Which I mean, good comebacks, good games for them. But Washington's also looked pretty improved on this new Genji comp. The new Genji meta is really strong for them. It really, honestly, for me, I'm excited. This is one of those games where I really want to see who wins because both of them have. I mean, Tuba's looking like one of the best Genjis in the league, and Agilities has really shown up on the Genji for this Toronto Defiant team. It really depends on how well Numlock can lead this team. If Numlock can lead Toronto Defiant past Washington, it just shows how much they've improved because Washington has looked stronger as of late. And if you don't believe like the Tuba show or whatever, you can look at what was it, Krusty's interview. He did Ask Me Anything. And he talked about how good Tuba was on the Genji. This guy can carry his team easily. He's really good right now. This is going to be, honestly, I am hoping for a close one. I'm hoping for a close match. And I kind of want Washington to win it. I kind of think they've been really improving as of late. But either way, like this is a must-win game for both teams. So I'm just excited to see the match in general.
For sure. Fans of both of those teams have had rough years or rough year all year. So hopefully, some at least 50% is gonna get a nice win. But then we get to follow that on Saturday. We get to watch San Francisco Shock versus the Boston Uprising. Um, to me, that just says GG go next for the Shock. Like, I don't really think Boston's got a chance.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Sorry, I
yeah,
thought you
go.
were making a joke where Shock was gonna lose. Like GG's goes next. Like it's like Boston. We're playing Boston. Who's gonna win this? Um,
Literally.
yeah. I mean, who knows? Anything could happen, but most likely it's just gonna be a wash. Shock's probably just gonna win it all.
Oh, for sure. I don't see a world where Boston upset Shock. So we'll just go ahead and talk about this next game. Will be the LA Valiant versus the Atlanta Reign, which is two teams that both got upset by the Toronto Defiant over the Summer Showdown. Both teams that we thought were pretty strong heading into the showdown before they lost to Toronto, and then now everybody's probably rethinking what they think about the Valiant and the Reign right now. So this game is a good way for them to be able to prove themselves. I think. Excuse me. I think both these teams have shown that they can be really strong teams, and they just kind of flubbed up in the Summer Showdown. So, um, you think that our hero pools are going to have any effect on this match right here?
Um, really, right now, I don't know. I'd had Valiant if they're playing their old teams, but I mean, right now, both Valiant and Atlanta have been kind of on a downward trend. Um, I'm excited to see who plays for which team. If Babyface coming back, if he's leaving, we don't know the exact things. But after his tweet that we talked about last week, we could really we can see a lot. Anna's kind of a big one. I think Dogman looks pretty strong on the Ana versus some other people. But honestly, who knows? I don't know who Atlanta's going to play. I don't know who Valiant's going to play. I have Valiant winning because they've looked stronger throughout the year. But Atlanta could really just pull out some crazy stuff because they have a lot of talent. This must win game for both of these, but I have Valiant winning it just based off of their previous matches.
Yeah, because once you see Shax get going, he's pretty unstoppable. And Atlanta, they've just repeatedly had weird lineup decisions. I know Valiant's coming off of the Summer Showdown where they had some weird lineup decisions, but we'll just have to see how this game goes. This one's one of the most even games of the weekend, if you ask me. Both teams got a lot to prove after the Summer Showdown, and they got to be hungry. They didn't get those extra wins from going far in the showdown, so they got to get every win they can for playoffs. Then Sunday we'll see. We only have 3 games Sunday. The first game Sunday will be the Paris Eternal taking on the Toronto Defiant, which to me seems like it would be a Paris is gonna win game, but um, I don't know. Toronto they got upset factor. Is this a game worth talking about? What do you think?
Let's see the guys who had 2 easy wins. They played well, but they had 2 easy wins against lowered opponents or the Paris Eternal who thing. I have Paris winning this, unless some crazy meta comes out. But I think this is honestly the best meta. Like Genji meta is best for both of these teams. I still have Paris winning this. I don't think Toronto has the firepower right now to contest against a team like Paris. So I mean, hopefully they can make it close. But I have Paris winning this. I don't think it's going to be that difficult either.
Yeah, I definitely think Paris will win, but you just said Genji meta, but does it really stay as a full on Genji meta? Because one of the things we definitely seen was the combo with the blade and the supercharger, and there ain't gonna be any supercharger. There ain't gonna be any nano. Um, the blade is good, but historically it was Blade with the nano boost, and then we seen it kind of like with the supercharger and sometimes rally or supercharger and just shield pack, but it's always Blade and. So what
Mhm.
is the Blade and gonna be now? Is it gonna be a Shatter and then Blade or Grav Blade? I mean, those things are possible, but really,
I
what
mean,
goes
you
with the
also
Blade?
saw a lot of raw Genji blades, and even if you didn't see Genji blades, still think Genji's strong enough. They're gonna have to be more careful, 100%, but he's still really overtuned right now, to the point of I don't see him out of the meta at all until he gets some nerfs. He's looked really strong. He could be more situational now. You're completely
Mhm.
correct, but even if Genji's not in the meta, I have Paris winning for the
Yeah.
sole reason of I mean Toronto's strongest comp is the Genji comp. They've looked the strongest this year on this Genji comp. Um, but I mean, I'm betting on Genji being in the meta just because how strong he looked last week. Sure, Ana's not in the meta and that sucks for Genji, but I mean, overall, like and if Briggs out of the meta, I can also see Genji just being better because Briggs is a lot better at stopping Genjis. So it's like I don't know, like he's got raw power now. He doesn't even need his ult to kill people. Um, that's where I put Genji. Is like he's just a strong pick for these DPS players who haven't had to pick. Like Genji was meta for like years, and they've had years to master this guy. So I would be surprised not to see him at least a little bit. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but I
And
mean,
then
if Genji's not meta, Toronto has no chance.
oh yeah. I mean, and we also just talked about earlier in the show about how Soon was coming in when Genji wasn't the best pick because of the map and still tore it up. So to me, that's definitely. I mean, Paris won the summer showdown. Somebody literally has to beat them to prove that they're not like super strong. They beat the Shock and the Fusion back to back. That's just unheard of this year. So Paris over Toronto is you know the most common pick right now. Then we got coming up right after that game. We'll have the Atlanta Rain taking on the Florida Mayhem. This is the second game Atlanta's playing this coming weekend, and the first game that Florida's playing. So having two games for Atlanta against seemingly tough opponents. Florida's a good team. They won. They went far and won a lot in the last little tournament, but they've been doing battle with the Outlaws, and they couldn't beat Houston. So we'll go ahead and get to see this Atlanta versus Florida. What do you think about this game? Because to me, this looks like another close game.
It depends what Atlanta comes out with. If Atlanta's looking strong previously in the week, I do think Atlanta has a chance. But right now, I have Florida winning this. Sure, they didn't look the strongest last week, but I still think they look better than Atlanta, and Atlanta really needs to step up their game right now. I mean, I unless Atlanta's really in this meta, I don't see them winning against Florida. I think Florida's looked strong this whole year versus Atlanta, who's just really has not looked that good. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think Florida's Mayhem's DPS are so solid. Tank lines looked really good. It is interesting to see what Florida's going to do with the main support now that they can't play Brig.
Why
So
can't they?
I'm excited. I mean, they could. I
They
don't know
could,
if
yeah.
Brig's strong, but I don't think Brig's nearly as strong as she was, and I don't know how well they're going to look on a non-Brig comp. So, but I still think Mayhem's going to win this. I have them winning this. So,
Yeah, it's not to underestimate the advantage they have of it being their only game this weekend, as opposed to Atlanta, who has two. Like I think Valiant and Florida are pretty much the top of the middle. They're not like the Shock, they're not like the Fusion kind of teams, but they're just about as good as you can get being in the middle of the powers ranking. So yeah, this is going to be overall pretty tough weekend for Atlanta. And then, closing out, on Sunday. We get a banger with the Boston Uprising versus the LA Valiant. Um, yeah, what do you think about this? I don't know what to think about Boston anymore. I can't pick them to win a game just because I don't think that they ever for sure will win, but they won't lose every game. So I don't know what to think about Boston, dude.
Boston looks like they had like a honeymoon period with their new player Punk, and it brought them a win in two really close games against Paris Eternal. But now they're looking like they're back to original Boston form. Good trusty Boston, guaranteed to lose the game. I don't see this as a Boston win at all. I don't think it's possible. If Boston wins this, I mean, good for them. Honestly, good for them. But I have Valiant winning this. Because I mean, Valiant needs these wins, and if they don't get it, then I don't know. They do have two games. Wait, does Boston have? Yeah, Boston and Valiant both have two games. So I can see them both preparing for this one over the previous, just to get an easy win. But
Yeah,
I have Valiant winning this.
I could see Boston going and being like, we really don't got a chance against the Shock. I'm gonna just go ahead and prep for LA Valiant, and I don't really think, and it wouldn't be crazy for Valiant. I mean, I would suspect them going to be to lean heavy on training harder for the Atlanta game than the Boston game. So that's like a coaching decision Boston could make, is to kind of not really pay as much attention to the shot game because what are their chances, and more of lean hard into training for the Valiant. But even then, I just think skill wise, Valiant is kind of not, just a little bit out of Boston's reach for a win. If this was Boston playing, say, Washington or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, 50-50. But to me, this is a Valiant take. They take it. If they don't, then we're going to come on here next week and make fun of the Valiant for losing to Boston. Any team that loses to
I'd love to
Boston,
make fun of
we're going to
them.
make fun of them for the rest of the year. You lose to Boston, you're getting roasted. That's our new.
Yeah, yeah. Screw teams that lost to Boston. Yeah, they're the worst. I hate them all. Who would lose to Boston? Definitely not my team. That would be terrible.
Or my favorite team.
Yeah, they must be really bad teams. How many games did Boston won? Oh, two. What teams? Oh no. Oh God.
Oh man.
Well,
Well,
we always got next year to win against Boston.
yeah, you can to get the first win against Boston, but
Ain't that happening? It's a curse.
it's a curse. You got to sign Pete Rose before you can, or Babe Ruth. You got to re-sign Babe Ruth before you can break the curse. But going on, we went ahead and pretty much covered what we got coming up this coming weekend in Overwatch League games. So we'll go ahead and get ready to close this show on out. Anura, you want to? Oh no, that's yeah. If you want to leave a review, you can be sure to head on over to your favorite podcatcher and leave us a review. We're looking for ways to improve the show, so anytime you would like to leave a review, we'll read it on the air. Anura, you want to tell everybody about Overwatch Recall?
You can find additional Overwatch content on our website via Overwatch Recall. Every Sunday, we release the weekly recall that lists the episodes released within the last week. I hate that sentence. For more info, follow Overwatch Recall on Twitter at Overwatch Recall. If you'd like to show additional support to our network of Overwatch shows, consider pledging via Patreon. Tiers start at just $1 a month. More information can be found at patreon.com/OWL network. You too can join the likes of our master and above patrons, Daniel, Owl, Kasha, Agent Life, and 044, in helping our network grow. And Booger, how can they contact the show?
If you would like to contact the show, you can send an email to contact@owlnshow.com. You can find our website at owlnshow.com. You can follow us on Twitter, which is at owlnshow. And you can find past replays of all the old episodes of this podcast at youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We're on Discord, and that's discord.me/OWLN show. All of these episodes go live on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLN show. And this is a podcast network, and it is Twitch affiliate, so you can help support the show and others by subscribing to our channel, and you get to earn the network emoticon. And the podcast network streams regularly. You got Overwatch League Network, which airs Mondays at 6 p.m. You got Overwatch League by the Numbers, which airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then you got Heroes Never Die, the variety Overwatch show, which airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And then there's Tavern Tales, the Hearthstone Battlegrounds show that airs Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, but that one is on twitch.tv/Tavern Tales. If you want to contact the hosts, you can hit me up on Twitter at BoogerBrainz with two Z's, BOOGERBRAINZZ. Anura, you want to tell everybody how to find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AnuraOW.
Nice.
Yep.
Hope everybody watching has a
That's
great
fair.
night, great week. What's up? Sorry.
You're good. Keep
Okay.
going.
Yeah, no. Have a good night. Show's over.